name is Bobby Gaines, and I will be your host today as we take a look at the 2011 Christmas Draft. Today is, of course, November 1st, 2011, and we are welcoming a new era as Halloween is in the rearview mirror, and we can start looking forward to what really matters, which is, of course, Christmas 2011. But first, we're going to do this little thing we all know as the Christmas Draft. A tradition officially began in about 2003, got refined in 2004, and from there, well, it's just been uphill ever since. Last year we got a really exciting reveal, and this year I look to do more of the same. Now, I should mention that this isn't really one of those analysis rants that I'm going to do. This is simply a way to just put it all out in the open. I'll probably say a little bit about each pick, but otherwise, I'm not really going to go into too much analyzation or any of that stuff. But today is a symbolic day, as you know, because November has begun. In maybe a couple weeks or so, we're going to put up the Christmas tree. We're going to start moving things forward, advancing our plan for Christmas 2011. But anyway, without further ado, as I said, I will be your host for the next 10-15 minutes as we take a look at the Christmas Draft 2011. Now, there are 12 picks here, 2 first rounds, 5 second rounds, and 5 third rounds. I went back to 2 first rounds for the classic feel to it. Now then, let us begin as I take a look here, announcing the first round of the 2011 Christmas Draft. First pick overall in the draft. I will be selecting, I don't even need the list for this, Sonic Generations, Xbox 360. Now this was a pretty obvious pick, pretty much since it was announced. However, I'm proud to say that this game will not simply be a first round pick because of its namesake. Sonic Generations looks to be the greatest game since 1999 when Sonic Adventure brought the Blue Hedgehog into 3D in the first place, and this game celebrates the best of his 20 years, Sonic's 20th anniversary being kind of a reoccurring theme in this year, 2011. And let me just say that this is also another historical first, and that this is the first time, although this really can't come up too often, but it's the first time that my number 1 overall pick is being released on draft day, November 1st. Usually, the number 1 pick releases either after or just before the draft, so today is not only the day I'm announcing this game, but it is the day that it was officially released. That's interesting. Moving on now, we do have a number 2 pick in your 2011 Christmas Draft, selected second overall in the 2011 Christmas Draft, Super Mario 3D Land, Nintendo 3DS. So, Nintendo's making a new Mario game, not too surprising. But what is a bit surprising is that they're making a full-fledged 3D outing, not just 3D in the fact that it pops out of the screen, but 3D as in the style of Mario 64 and Mario Galaxy. Nintendo's making a spectacular 3D Mario game for their new handheld console, and it's no surprise that the year that I get the Nintendo 3DS will feature a lot of 3DS classics, but more on that later. So that's your first round, as I alluded to before, Sonic and Mario carrying the torch for the rest of the draft, both iconic 90s gaming stars. So now we go to the second round, which can arguably be called the most crucial round of the draft, because not only is it, it's tied for the biggest round with 5 picks, but not only that, but it usually features the most variety, diversity, and is really the meat of the draft once you get past the big 2 or big 3 or whatever it may be. But anyway, selected first in the second round of the 2011 Christmas Draft, third overall, Mario Kart 7, Nintendo 3DS. So again, another new 3DS game, this time Mario Kart. Now the reason I took this one so high, I'm not going to lie, it has a lot to do with 2005's spectacular pick with the Mario Kart DS game, and this looks to be another evolution of that with, of course, full 3D graphics and all that stuff coming into play, but also, you can't really go wrong with a Mario pick. And when you're talking about the second round especially, you need to take some surefire picks. So this was one that I really thought could not miss. At the very least, we're looking at 6 to 12 months of replayability, plus online mode, so I can be playing people from all over the world. Really great game with a lot of potential. Mario Kart 7, Nintendo 3DS. Moving along now. Second round still. Fourth overall, Star Fox 64 3D, Nintendo 3DS. Yes, yet again. The Nintendo 3DS dominates in this draft, as I mentioned before, and it doesn't get much better as far as the Nintendo 64 era than Star Fox 64, a game that I really loved back in the day, and love even more what they've done with it since I've gotten a chance to try out the 3DS port of it. And it plays very well. You can use the gyroscope to control it, that's kind of their new gimmick, but I don't really prefer it. The analog stick works really well to control the R-Wing through just all these great stages. I never actually played the full game, like in full. I played parts of it, but what I played of it was amazing. So I look forward to finally seeing what all the hype was about in 1997, about this great Star Fox game, just like I got to play Diddy Kong Racing a few years back and see what the hype was about that. So nothing wrong with going back in time while also taking a new game. So, on that vein now, we're going to continue. Third pick in the second round, 5th overall in the 2011 Christmas Draft. Sonic Generations, Nintendo 3DS. Yes, this is not the first time I've taken the same game twice, and it is not the first time I've taken the same Sonic game twice for two different consoles. However, this time I have a little more justification, because the Nintendo 3DS version of Sonic's 20th anniversary game is actually a different game altogether, featuring a cluster of new stages not seen in the Xbox 360 version. The reason it is a bit lower, though, is because it is not projected to be as good as the Sonic Generations game that is hitting mainstream consoles November 1st. This game comes out a little bit before Thanksgiving, and it's going to be good. I have no doubt about that. I mean, getting to play some 2D Sonic with a bit of a 3D twist on it should be interesting. I look forward to seeing levels like Casino Night Zone, Mushroom Hill, Emerald Coast, and things like that. Levels that aren't in the Xbox 360 game, but at the same time, and there's nothing wrong with being the 5th overall pick in the draft, but I just don't have the same level of confidence in this game as I do with the Xbox 360 counterpart being taken 1st overall. Still, 5th pick is very good. So, going down from there, our 6th pick in the 2011 Christmas Draft, 4th in the second round, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Xbox 360. This game was kind of a toss-up, kind of a decision between value and replay value, like literally monetary value compared to replay value. And Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and by the way, this is not the game that came out like 7 years ago by that same name. This game came out in 2010 for the Xbox 360, a game which follows the premise of classic Need for Speed games in that you get to play as dangerous drag racers or the police trying to catch them. And there's just a lot to enjoy about this game. Pretty much I was sold once I heard that Burnout publisher Criterion Games was making this, because the Burnout games are very exciting, very intense, and this game looks to be more of that same formula, so you can't really go wrong there. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, a lower second round pick, kind of my mandatory racing game, but this one has quite a few twists on it to differentiate it from Mario Kart 7 or any other racing game I usually take. Now, bottoming out at the second round level here, this is the 7th overall pick in the 2011 Christmas Draft. The Pinball Hall of Fame Williams Collection Nintendo 3DS. This is a port of a game that I already have for the 360, so I know it's a good game. It's a game featuring about a dozen classic pinball tables, now remastered in 3D for the Nintendo 3DS console. Now, I don't know, I've become sort of a portable gamer in recent years. Besides the big Sonic games and occasionally Mario, I stay to the small screen, so I don't really play the Pinball Hall of Fame that much on Xbox 360, because if I ever boot up that console, it's to play Sonic Unleashed or something. So, Pinball Hall of Fame Williams Collection just made sense here. It is a lower second round pick, but I felt like it was a little bit better than a third round. That's not to say my third round is weak. Speaking of which, we're going to move on to the third round right now as we go down to the last 5 picks in the draft. We have a good collection of value, replay value, and some intriguing new properties that I'm looking forward to playing. However, as I mentioned, the second round pick is where you take your surefire hits, whereas maybe for this one we're taking a few chances here with the third round, but I think they're chances that are going to pay off. So let's get it started here with your 8th pick in the 2011 Christmas Draft. We have Shinobi Nintendo 3DS, a very simply named game for a very simple franchise in the 90s. The Shinobi series on the Sega Genesis was a big hit, and really Sega hasn't done too much with it in the 2000s decade, but this is their first attempt at it since I think a 2005 game for the PS2, so this should be interesting. At first I wasn't completely sold on this game just because some of the Shinobi games since the 90s haven't done too well, but from what I've seen of it, it's a really stylized game. It's very interesting, very violent, so I look forward to at least trying it out. This is my top third round pick because I think it has the most potential out of the ones I've chosen to be one of those kind of sleeper picks, so I'll put it up there pretty high relative to the other ones. So we're going to go down here. The next few have kind of a common theme here. This is my 9th overall pick in your 2011 Christmas Draft. we've got Mario Super Sluggers, Nintendo Wii. This is actually one of only 2 Wii games that I'm taking in the draft. The Wii's kind of tailed off in recent years as far as games being taken in the draft. We had a couple heavy hitters last year, but this year not much to speak of. Mario Super Sluggers is being taken for a combination of reasons, one of which being it's an improvement on the Nintendo GameCube game, Mario Superstar Baseball, but also the value helped out a lot. This is kind of one of those bargain bin games that's actually pretty good. Usually I don't give bargain bin games a look, but this was a game that was a big hit a few years ago. It's a game that I've considered taking a few years in the past, and this just felt like the right time to do it. So I've even had a chance to play the game, and it's not too bad. Like I said, 3rd round, kind of taking a flyer here. Continuing on that vein, though, we have our 10th overall pick in the 2011 Christmas Draft. Super Paper Mario, also Nintendo Wii. Another bargain game that was actually a really big hit. It was kind of a toss-up between this and Super Sluggers, so I put them both in. I put Super Paper Mario a little bit lower just because I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have to play it. It's more of a involved game, you know. Usually your 3rd round is reserved for games that you're not going to be spending hours playing, but maybe your simpler games like the baseball game or something you can play in short spurts. Super Paper Mario is more of a full-fledged game in which you travel through these, obviously, Mario-like worlds. What I really like about it, though, is that you can switch the perspective from 2D to 3D. They did a lot of clever things with this paper mechanic, making the worlds kind of made of paper. You can go around them, you can go through them. It's kind of interesting. And a really good game. It was actually a higher pick in 2009. Didn't end up getting received, so I pushed it off a couple of years, and here we are again, now looking at our 10th pick. So, we are down to the last 2 now. Picked 11th overall in your 2011 Christmas Draft. Super Monkey Ball 3D, Nintendo 3DS. Another Sega game, another really great game from their GameCube days. And Super Monkey Ball 3D, it got mixed reviews, which kind of contributed to me pushing it down a bit. It's also one that I could get after the holidays if it doesn't work out this year. So, Super Monkey Ball 3D, kind of a low-risk, semi-high reward pick. Super Monkey Ball 3D, a lot of replayability, you know, a lot of boards, a lot of things. But again, it got kind of mixed reviews, so just because it has a lot in it doesn't mean that all of it's good. So, just putting it down there a little bit. And finally, Mr. Irrelevant, if you will, your last pick in the 2011 Christmas Draft. I'm really making this dramatic because it doesn't really need to be. Your 12th pick overall, 5th in the 3rd round. Tetris Axis, Nintendo 3DS. I had to say that slow because there's too many IS sounds in that title. Tetris Axis is I actually said it right, is another 3DS game. It's pretty innovative take on the old Tetris formula. This is one that if this was a bargain game, I'd probably take it higher, but it's a bit more expensive, and I'm not sure I want to buy Tetris for the 10th time. And I don't know if it's really worth it, so it's a lower pick. It's still a good game. It has a lot of different game modes. The most intriguing part about it, I think, is the AR functionality they gave it, so that you can kind of play Tetris in real life with 3D blocks and stuff. It's really hard to explain, but it really looks innovative in that respect. Again, it's not really a draft maker. It's not really, something I'm relying on, and if I don't get it, I'll just wait until it becomes a bargain game. So, again, Tetris Axis, a good one to take. I usually take a puzzle game. Really, a lot of drafts have followed a trend of taking a couple platformers, a couple racers, a couple puzzlers. There's no shooters in this year, really, that I can see. No, there's really not a shooting game unless you count Star Fox 64, but I don't. So anyway, that is your 2011 Christmas Draft. Look forward to seeing your comments if you think that it lives up to last year's draft, which was pretty solid, although it had a lot of racing games and a little bit more repetition, whereas I feel like I was a bit more diverse this year, although I do have 2 racing games. Anyway, to close things out here, as I mentioned, we are dawning on a new era. The era, of course, of Christmas. And I know this isn't much. Trust me, it's not much. But, kind of just to symbolize the shifting of the times. I really don't have anywhere to put this, do I? Yeah, we'll slap it here. To symbolize the transitioning of the seasons from Halloween to Christmas, the candy cane. Simple symbol, but it is just the start of what will eventually be Christmas Central in this very room, where we will be talking more about the Christmas Draft and Christmas in general as we start to move things forward in this great month of November. So, look forward to that In the meantime, enjoy my Christmas draft picks, and I will talk to you all again real soon. Merry Christmas.